Hi guys, my name is Bree and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Goodreads Awards of 2022. They just released the list of their first place winners by genre in the beginning of July, and I took the most of July to read these 4 books that I am about to talk about. So clearly there's a lot of genres, which means there are a lot of books to read. I only read these 4. I will continue reading other genres. I am currently working my way through 3 others right now. So there will be a part 2 and possibly a part 3 to this little series, I want to say. But for today's video, I'm going to be focused on fiction, historical fiction, romance, and mystery and thriller. Before we get into today's video, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so that way you never miss any of my videos. I typically do my videos on writing tips and I do book reviews. And while you're at it, you might as well follow my social media down below. I will leave a link to my social media in the description below. So first up, I would like to talk about the fiction category. And so the first book I want to talk about is from the fiction category. And the book that won first place is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Jevin. I give that book a 2-star rating. So a little about this book is 2 childhood best friends, Sadie Green and Sam Muser. They met when they were living out in California. They met at a hospital where Sam, he had issues with his foot from a car accident. So he kept having to go back in to get surgery and get it fixed and stuff. And Sadie had a sister who had, I believe it was leukemia. Or some other kind of cancer, where she was at the hospital with her sister to keep her company, but she ended up meeting Sam in the process. So these 2 had been bonding over their love of video games, but then we learned that they had a little bit of a falling out and they stopped talking to one another. So fast forward, I don't exactly remember how many years, I want to say maybe 10 years, where they're both in college now and they actually go to colleges in New York. And they end up bumping into each other at the train station and they talk for the first time since they last saw each other in California. So Sam and Sadie basically get together and they decide they want to design a video game together since they love video games. Sam is an artist and Sadie is a computer engineer. So she did a lot of the coding while Sam did most of the drawings. They focused on making games, releasing them on PC. And Sam's roommate ended up getting involved in helping them as well. Well, their first game was a huge success, and they ended up launching their careers in the video game world. And they formed a company together, a business, also make a couple other games together, and some games on their own. What I loved about this book is I loved how 2 childhood best friends reunited and they decided to work on a game together, because it kind of reminds me of me and my one friend. We have been talking for about a year now about designing either an animation or a webcomic together. And I loved how their love for video game was also able to help them be in a career that they love together. And what's better than doing it with your best friend? I also love the disability rep in this book. Sam, he ended up, like I said earlier, he ended up hurting his foot while he was in a car accident. And he had to get surgery multiple times to fix the injury that he got from the accident. It kind of reminds me of myself because I have an injury myself right now with my foot, and it's my second surgery I had. So I can definitely relate to all the pain that he was feeling. So I really feel like the author did a great job with the disability wrap. So these are the issues that I had with the book that brought down my rating to a 2-star rating. So Sadie, she ended up forming a relationship with one of her professors. Normally, I don't have an issue with that at all. I felt like it was one-sided because the professor wouldn't leave his wife and was cheating on the wife with Sadie. And there were also a few instances where the professor ended up sexually assaulting Sadie, and there was really no resolution that came from it. The author just kind of brushed over it as if there was no trauma that came from it. Kind of bothered me, kind of made me wonder, okay, then why would you include this in the book if you weren't gonna do anything with it? It's one of those stories where like it could have been done without it. I also thought that Sadie really had no personality on her. I could not really connect with her character that well. I really did not care what happened to her. As terrible as that sounds, I just did not care for her at all. And same with Sam. I felt he was very like manipulative. Like if things didn't go his way, he kind of twisted his words to make sure that it would go his way, and if it didn't benefit him, then he didn't want any part of it. So the book felt very boring to me, the writing style. There were some parts where like I sped through it and I was like, wow, that's crazy, and I wanted more. But then there were other times where like things were very slow and I was like, oh come on, and I was like kind of skipping over paragraphs and stuff. And the writing style too is particularly really not my favorite. I feel like it was like jumping all over the place. Like we'll start like the chapter in one place, like the present, and then it would jump back to the past or jump up to the future. And I just didn't really like that. It was not done well in my opinion, and I felt like it could have just been like an easy, smooth path from like past, present, future. So do I feel like this book should have won first place? No. Now we're going to move on to the category historical fiction, and in the book that won first place was Carrie Sturdo, A Bat by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I gave that book a 4-star rating. I love this book so much. I think I might have mentioned this in my other video where I love the author. I read her book, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Like because of that, I was excited to read this book. This was the first book that I read out of the 4 that I read for this video. And I was like, okay, I'll start nice and easy since I know I already like the author. I'm probably gonna like this book. So a little bit about this book. The main character, Carrie Sturdo, we follow her through her life as she grows up to be like a tennis player. So it kind of starts off first in the present where Carrie is sitting at a tennis tournament and she's already retired. So she ends up finding that Nikki Chang, who ends up being her competition, she is about to break her world record. Carrie was not ready to let that go. So that forces her to come out of retirement and train again to work her way up to beat Nikki Chang and to keep her title. And then it flashes back in past where she's like a kid and she's first training with her father and finding her love for tennis. We get to see her struggle with making like friends outside of tennis because she dedicated her life to tennis. And we also saw the relationship between her and her father. We actually skip to where when she first like becoming a well-known star and going to see like her matches and her training and her personal relationship, which she really struggled in because she was not ready to like open up her heart and allow people to get close to her. And then we end up coming back to present time where she's training with her father again, and she's training also with like an old fling that she had, Bowie, who actually helped her improve her skill, and she helped him as well because he's still a tennis player. And I also loved how Carrie changes her goals and her tennis goals and her personal goals as she's training in like the present time. I really loved her character. I loved watching her grow over the years from when she first started tennis to when she retires and then comes out of retirement and starts her career again. And this book did also a lot of back and forth with tomorrow, tomorrow, and tomorrow. But this one felt like it was better done rather than it was, yes, it was all over the place, but I felt like it was important that we got a glimpse of her past and how she used to be in order to help understand how she is in the present and how she changes. I honestly love this book so much. There was like no dull moment. There was no point where like I wanted to skim over any paragraph. There was no point where like I couldn't, close the book to take a break. I would have to force myself to take a break. And I finished this book in like 2-3 days top. So it's a good book when you quickly finish it. So do I think this book deserves the award? I truly believe it does. So the next category we're going to be talking about is mystery and thriller, and the book that won first place was The Maid by Nita Prose. I gave that book a 5-star rating. This book follows Molly Gray, who is a maid at a hotel. She loved cleaning, she loved organizing things, and she loved talking to the guests at the hotel. So she ends up being a prime suspect in the murder of Mr. Black, who was like a well-known customer who always came and stayed at the hotel and was given like top treatment. And throughout the book, she combined in a few other characters feels like she can trust, but however they end up turning on her, which makes her the prime suspect to the police. She had to come up with a way to clear her name and show that she was not responsible for the killing of Mr. Black. And she also finds some unlikely friendships and people that help her out. Although it's not confirmed by the author, but by reading the book, I picked up that Molly had some autistic traits and OCD traits. I felt like they were well done. I've read a lot of reviews where people did not like her character, but I think it might have been because of her being neurodivergent that people couldn't connect with her, and that she didn't really represent the autism community. However, autism is a spectrum and every individual is different, but I liked how Prose decided to go about her character. I thought it was really well done. And also, I was really surprised to learn who the real killer was and how it was a much bigger conspiracy than it really was. And that's what really made the book interesting and stand out to me. I also finished this book fairly quickly. I finished it in a day and a half. The writing was also really good too. It was fast paced. I didn't feel like it was slow at any point. I wasn't tipping over anything. I did not think I would really enjoy this book because I'm not really into mysteries and thrillers, especially when trying to solve like a murder case, but this book quickly became one of my favorites. I felt like the maid deserved this award, and I am so glad that it took first place. So next up, we're going to talk about the romance category, and the book that won first place is Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and I gave that book a 2-star rating. A little bit about this book: we follow the life of Nora, a literary agent from New York City. She dedicates herself to her career. She always puts her clients first ahead of herself, and she also took care of her sister when their mother died when they were like teenagers, and she's very overly protective of her sister Libby. Libby, I should also say, is married, has 3 kids, and is pregnant with her 4th. Libby decided to force Nora to leave the busy life of New York City to go to a small town where Libby's favorite book took place. Nora was hesitant about going at first because she did not want to take a break from her job, but she wanted to reconnect with her sister because she felt like they were drifting apart and wanted to rekindle that relationship. So the book starts out with Nora going to a meeting, and she has to meet up with an editor named Charlie, and they were going to talk about one of her clients' books. So she was late to the meeting because she had to take a phone call. Her boyfriend at that time broke up with her over the phone. So she was late to the meeting, and Charlie was an absolute asshole to her. Like, he was like so cold as to like, why are you late? I've been sitting here waiting. No one waits on me, blah blah blah. So they start off really rocky, and clearly they both don't like each other. However, turns out while Nora and her sister are down in a small town, guess who lived there? Charlie. Charlie lived there. His parents own a bookshop that's not doing too great. So they end up having to work for a client, Nora and Charlie. So they meet at the bookshop to work in person rather than through email. Get to see their relationship starting to blossom. I felt personally that their relationship was too fast-paced. Even though it took them forever to get together, it felt like that Henry could have dragged it out a little more rather than make it like so quick in the beginning. However, like the story was also slow as well. Like there was many times where I had to just like dip over a paragraph and be like, oh, come on, like is this necessary to move the story forward? I thought Charlie was a really bland character. He had like no personality to him whatsoever, which made it hard for me to connect with him. And with Nora, I couldn't connect with her either. I did not like her character at all. I felt like she was bland for me, and I felt like her chemistry with Charlie was really forced. I think that might have been either because the romance took off too fast. I think maybe if the romance didn't take off as fast and kind of like it worked its way up, then I felt like it could have been a little better. I also thought her sister Libby was quite annoying as well. She was very like pushy. The thing that Libby did in the story that I really hated was that she made a fake dating profile for Nora to help her connect with the small town local because she wanted her sister to have like a small town romance before they went back to New York. And she did it all without Nora's permission. So she ended up going out on a date with some guy that she did not even know, and it just made it like very awkward. I felt like the ending became very fast paced after like they left the small town. Do I think that book lovers should have won? No, there were definitely better romances out there. So that's it for part 1 of the Goodreads Awards of 2022. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. Comment down below if you agree with my opinion or if you disagree. I would love to hear what you thought of these books if you read them. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ring that bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. That's it for today's video. I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye!